music. Do you like the music for the intro? Hi! Hi. Welcome to the Artsy Knitter. I'm your host, True. Yeah, that's True without an E. And I am known as True Dolly on Ravelry. I'm not going to go into all the different places. I'll put it in my show notes, things like that. So let's get right into it. So, fashionista inspiration. I don't know, is that going to be the name of the show? Fashionista inspiration, click, click, click. I want to get right into my first whippy. That's right, my whip, whip, whippy. The reason I want to get right into my first whippy is because I have someone to share. I have the reason why I did this piece I want to share with you. So, the beginnings of what I'm going to discuss right now is the mental escapades, okay, that brought me to this first whippy. So these two segments are together. I'm online, I'm looking around, I see this great pattern, and I'm like, okay, great, cool. It's nice. Not totally connecting to it, but I'm connecting. Like I like the way it looks interesting. It can be worn in all these different ways, and then from you can tell from some of my other choices that I like that kind of thing. I like to get more than one outfit out of, one piece. So I scroll down and I see this picture. I was like, oh, I forget that designers sometimes ask other knitters if they can use, one of their project photos. I'm like, who's that? I click. The YARNISTA. You know her. You have to, if you're on Ravelry and you're like apparent, she's famous. Okay? I'm going to tell you why. So, I'm looking and I see her pictures of this piece. And this piece is called Spoilt for Choice. Spoilt for Choice is done by Thompson, and I'm doing it in Koigu. On my project notes, it's called the configuration of 17. I don't know if that was like a Hunger Games type thing. Configuration of 17. It's got 17 holes, people. Okay? You're going to see it in a second how far I've gotten already. I'm knitting on this thing like a demon. A demon I am. So, after looking at all her images, I was like, I knew this already, but I need to say it to you guys. You do not need to be a top model to rock fashion, to be a fashion rock star. You can say it any way you want. I don't care. So, the YARNISTA, for me, is a knitting rock star. I have to say it. That's just how it is. And that was solidified. Afterwards, I found out she has an article out in Vogue Knitting. She's been following Vogue Knitting for quite a few years. You'll see in the article when you read it, more details and on just like her process and stuff like that. She is a teacher, and she's serious about fashion. Like, to me, she's serious about fashion. I'm not saying that that's what she said, but she posts on her blog. Her blog is a very popular blog called hollyknits.com. I urge you to go check it out for two reasons. One, to read the Vogue Knitting article. Two, to read the post that kicked my butt. My Bamsy. That's what we say in Jamaica. Bamsy! This post kicked my Bamsy. Seriously. It's called the Knitter's Keepsake. And it shamed me. Rightfully so. I mean, good shame, not bad shame. And it made me pull up my knitter's socks, because she gets into it in more detail, but it's basically about shooting your project. Like, the projects that you're knitting, shooting it with pride. Because the thing is, why is it that we spend so much time on technique? I want to cast it on this way. I don't agree. I'm going to bind off that way. And this is the yarn I'm going to use. And the colorway. It just really, we swatch, we block these things. Yet when we're done, how we share with others is not as detailed as, you know, basically people, you need to put some oomph in it. So I, being an artist and a photographer, had deep shame, held myself. I was just like, oh my God. Like when she looked at my project, she must have been like, this girl's a photographer. She's been in fashion. Lazy. Fashionista? No. That's what you'd be saying. Fashionista? No. I mean, I don't even know if I'm a fashionista. That's not what I call myself. But anyway, the Yarnista, I say to you, I apologize for my laziness, for my lack of passion and oomph in putting into what it is I do. And I, of all, should have no excuse. I apologize to you. Yeah. Anyway, so that led me to think I'm going to share a few tips. And yeah, you're thinking, okay, if you're not doing your project notes either properly and shooting your things properly, how are you going to give me tips? I'm still going to give you tips, okay? Artsy tips, because I'm giving you from a photographer's point of view. I'm smacking myself in the back of my head with these tips as I say them. You know, you can learn things from people, even if they're not, yeah. Anyway. Artsy tip number 1. Find an area where you and your knitted object, if you're going to wear it or drape it along your body, make sure you're facing the light. When the light is behind you, you have silhouette or a badly done picture most of the time, unless somebody can put another white board in front of you to bounce the light back. Like say you wanted something fancy and you wanted backlighting or for it to be white and glowy behind you, make sure there's a gigantic white board to take that light, bounces on the board, bounces back to you. That is a huge tip, people. You can even do it on a small scale. If you're going to put something in the window, make sure you have a white board to bounce light back to the front of the object. Okay, so that's my artsy tip number 1. You could also use a store window or just somewhere that has a little bit of light and put your hat or your scarf or your sock down and photograph it. So try not to have anywhere with too much clutter. Artsy tip number 2. Don't have your bag on your shoulder when you're photographing this. It's blocking the garment. It's clutter. Unless that bag complements the piece, I don't think you should have it on. Accessories are not bad, okay? That's not what I'm saying. Just make sure it connects to the piece and it's not blocking, like, you know, this beautiful, like, cable that you have down the stuff like that. I've seen pictures where people are using their little iPhone and, you know, and sometimes you don't have somebody to shoot for you, and I understand that. But please try to have it to your side or something like that. Yeah, so anyway, if it doesn't like complement the image or complement the piece via color or texture, remove it to keep it clean. No clutter on the table if you're shooting this on a table, unless it makes sense for the knitted item. Like for example, you have a beautifully felted purse or knitted purse that you've done with beautiful cables and you want to shoot it flat. Strew or cascade the contents of what would be in that bag on the table. You know, like a little bit of lipstick, a pair of sunglasses, you know, a book, a vintage book, something. Just give it a little panache though and place it accordingly. Be your own, like, what I call still prop stylist. Yeah. And then my third comment, my third artsy tip, it connects to the first one in a sense. White or subtle background. And why I separated this tip is because Hannah she does the featherweight cardi. She has a design that she made, a tee kind of tank top, and she had a floral background But the piece was very minimal, and the lighting was very sunny and cascading in, and it was all soft, the whole image. And that floral background was not bright, ugly 1970s print. It was just a subtle, pale, slightly distressed vintage looking, I think, pattern. And the color from the top, I think, was in a little bit of the background. It complemented the image, and it wasn't distracting. Remember, you want to keep the piece or yourself in the focus. So if you have a bag on the table and there's a gigantic white cup in the corner, my eye is going to go to the white cup that's hanging in what is that? What is that in the picture? That's what's going to happen. All right? So work on that. Make sure that even though even though those rules can be broken, you don't want the background to take away from your sweater or distract the viewer. Okay? So that's the end of my artsy tips. Get right into my whippy that I was talking about in the first place while we got the Spoilt for Choice by Thompson. It's done in Koigu. It doesn't really have a colorway number. Like, ooh, ooh. And my head can fit in here, people. It can. I'm so excited. I chose Koigu because, these are done on 4mm needles. I chose Koigu because I thought the springiness when I block it'll give the piece even more drape. I don't know. Koigu has had a few little flecks of white in this particular colorway, and I'm hoping that it'll go over that, but it's not going to stop me from using Koigu. Just so you know. I chose that color. It looks like might be showing okay. Maybe it's showing okay. I'm hoping you're seeing it as purple, and it's almost like a neon purple. Okay? The Yarnista had it in some shade of blue. I'm not sure what kind, but this is a purple blue. And so in some lights it looks blue, in some lights it looks purple, but it's meant to be purple, and it glows. When I go outside and I'm knitting this thing, people are like, what is she doing? So, yeah, that's my first whippy. I showed you this yarn before, but now the light is a little bit better. Maybe. This is the Regia Sonata, and I am knitting 2 at a time. That's right, people, 2 at a time. Socks, my Rye socks. I restarted them. I originally first did them in a Barocco in like this chunky worsted, and I was like, I don't want to make house socks. I don't want. I have to wear it. I think it's because I'm not to say I'm not a process knitter, because I love the fact that I start a project and learn something new. But right now at this stage, I think I'm a product knitter. I am excited about the things I'm going to get in the end, which is why I have more than one whip going. So I'm saying that to say, the Yarnista, she is straight up one project. Brava, okay? I wish I had less knitting ADD in order to do that. I don't. God bless you. Maybe I can learn from you. Maybe I know. I'm thinking that at some point that'll happen, because there's a lot of new things happening. Like in the summer, my boyfriend's coming back from Australia to visit, and I won't be knitting as much as I'm knitting now. So, and lots of things are going to be coming up in the next year or two. So, I'm enjoying the knitting like crazy right now. So anyway, back to my whip. I love the way this yarn, I guess you'd call pooling. So here's the design. You can see it. It's like the pearl is in the center. It's a free pattern, so the pearls in the center. I had to make my own recipe. I used the Liette Gat free recipe that you can get on a website, and then I just applied the design of the Tincanknits Rye Socks to that. So I'm knitting 2 at a time on 2mm Chow Goose. I am in love with Chow Goose. Did I mention that before? So in love. So, actually, yeah, I'm going to go back a little bit, but I just wanted to show you a really gorgeously done picture Oh, I wish it would get more focused, of the Rye Socks. And I'm featuring them in the show a little bit because I'll tell you why later, because I have something else I want to recommend. But I just wanted to make sure you also saw some of the images from the Spoilt for choice. Get my orientation there. Look at that. That is going to be off the chain. And then I went down to the fourth picture and I was like, bam! That is so me. And with the drop crotch pants. I don't know if you guys call it something else, but she is seriously rocking that like nobody's business. So, oh, and here is where it's like worn as a skirt. So I'm going to have to figure this one out. Can you see it? Oh, wait, there. Ah, jeez. Technical difficulties today, people. So sorry. There. I don't know if it's very visible, but I needed you to see that. That is gorgeous. So, let me shift my light. And, yeah. So, moving along. Let's see. I also, you've seen this before. I'm working on the Tripartite by Stephen West. He is all kinds of fabulous. And I have the two pieces completed. I've shown you how they look before, so I won't go into that again. And now they're on waste yarn. And I got advice from Nameless, my knitting connoisseur, my knitting mentor, the woman I mentioned that takes me under her wing and says, I think you should block them, then kitchen stitch them, then do the collar. Can somebody weigh in on that? Tell me what they think, because I'm like, what if the two are blocked and then I'm knitting on the two blocked pieces? Because you have to join it's not that the collar is a separate piece and then you join all three. I'm supposed to join the two sides and then, yeah, so I need somebody to weigh in on that one. Go on the boards or something maybe and tell me what you think. Okay? But that is I don't know, would that be called a hoe? A half-finished object? Not really. It's a whippy. It's a work in progress. Don't worry about it. So yeah, those are my whippies. And now we are onto the section of ta-da! Ta-da is my finished objects, my foes. Now, I don't have a pattern for this, and I showed you this on my little one. It's out of, like, super chunky yarn. It makes me think of, like, I don't know, Amish. What am I talking about? Like the Amish where it's big, fat, chunky, knitted. But like a little pixie point on the end here. I'm going to put it on. Maybe I'll let her wear that the next episode, because episode number 4, she's going to be in it. This is episode number 3. And the yarn, I already showed you previously, and it'll be in the show notes. It's super bulky, like thick. And I wish, I actually should have gotten more of it, because I have some more things that I need to make as well. I wanted that curl in the front, so that's why I did it like that. So I'm pretty excited. And I'll show you. It is called, the next piece that I'm doing, or that my next ta-da, pardon me, I'm a little bit like, blah, 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 is the Peter Pan collar by Emma S. Scott. Now, I'm going to show you a version of this done by somebody else who is rocking it in true fashionista style. Okay? Let me see. I'm hoping you can see the chain at the closest to the collar. And then rhinestones at the bottom. I love it. Like, I want to do that. Anyway, I'm going to be making more of these, but this is not for me. This is for little one. And as you can see, it's supposed to be like a Peter Pan, like that, but it's too big. And so I put that in the show notes, and I have you'll see it on her in the next episode, how I've adjusted it to suit her. But I love the scallops. I changed the pattern a little bit by doing, at the last, it's a free pattern, just after I did the scallops, the in-between was supposed to be a double crochet, and I made it a half double crochet just so that this could curve even more. I wanted to do a single, actually, but I hope it's showing up fuchsia. It's showing up fuchsia. Look at that. So this is my little crocheted piece. I did this in, I know, forgive me. It has to be on a child, and it's going to be, washed. It's in Red Heart yarn, like Softy or something like that, Soft Touch. And it's like a fuchsia colorway, and it is on 3mm hooks. So that's one of my ta-das. Alright, and that's pretty much it. I wanted to show you, I'll have the links for that in the show notes. But just before I go into my last two segments, I wanted to show you this yarn. I got She Shall Be Remained Nameless advice about what to use this yarn for, but I can't say that name, just so you know. But it's from Chile, and it's Botany Lace, colorway 1796. I want to say Aracaruna. Anyway, it's 100% extra fine merino. I had to say it like that. 450 yards, and it's fabulous. It has like a little rainbowish type color, and super soft, like amazing. So clearly this is going to be a summer extravaganza for my wardrobe. So I was thinking something drapey off the shoulder, not too long, maybe long in the back, short in the front. I don't know. Do you guys know of any patterns that might suit this? You want to weigh in and let me know. What do you think? Right? So, and get your advice. And if I haven't heard from you, that's okay too. I'm still going to make a decision. I have some ideas of what I want to do. Getting right into Truly Recommended. Now, Truly Recommended is a section that I may not have knitted this before, right? But I couldn't wait to suggest it. So you will be like, oh, I know that piece. It's a Tincanknits. Yeah, that's right. I'm totally feeling Tincanknits. Britannia is the sweater. And the reason why I wanted to choose this as well, not only because I'm doing the Rye Socks, but, oh, this baby's so sweet. Sweet like candy. Not only because I'm doing the Rye Socks, but because Nameless, she has a work knitting group, and their simple collection is perfect. If you have a newbie in your life that's knitting, I think it's important for newbies to have success stories. And knitting a scarf can get very tedious, and then they give up. And that's kind of what happened to me. I didn't give up. I knitted 2 of them, gave them as a gift, and the gifts flopped, and I lost heart, I think, is what happened. That's why I wish I could say I've been knitting 12 years, but I haven't because of that. Anyway, I just wanted to suggest this because the cabling in the front is stunning, and the panels of open eyelet is really great for a chilly summer night or spring night. You can make it 3/4. It's stunning, this piece. And I'm gonna make. I'm thinking of making one for Ava and one for myself. Now, it's not free. It's a part of a 11 pattern ebook, which is about $17 US. So, you might want to cough up that. It's in the Cascadia booklet. So, but they have other booklets, and their patterns are just effortlessly fantastic. So, you'll probably see that come up in future show, what I'm working on. You remember the time when I told you that yeah, that's what will happen. So, I wanted to recommend that. And then I want to get into the last part of my show is the Artsy Fashion Spotlight. Now, there are designers that might be watching me, maybe not, maybe a future designer budding within you. And I wanted to show you my number one guru. His name is fashion guru, fashion designer, the late Alexander McQueen. I think I've said that in my intro before. I love this man. He was part of my fashion dream of having wanting to shoot for him. I hope maybe I can still do that with Sarah, who's taken over the house. She's doing a fantastic job. McQueen, who died at an early age, 40. Okay, look at what I'm going to show you. This piece was shot by Stephen Meisel for Vogue. Yes, Yarnista, if you're watching. Maybe not. 1999, this sweater was made. I want to rock the sweater, but I just don't know if I could do it. It looks heavy. It's a chunky, super bulky cable sweater. I'm going to insert pictures so that you can get a clearer shot of this. But it's done in this pink, chunky yarn. I just think Vogue July 1999, if you have that, just whip through it and find it. It's stunning. And I just wanted to inspire designers that are out there that may want to, whip up something like that. I might want to test knit it or whatever. I don't know. The other piece I wanted to show you was by Michael Kors. He's got a very classic sense, and on his runway, the reason why I want to show you this, because sometimes I see sweaters and I'm like, oh, that sweater's so boring. But people knit them a lot and they just want a comfy sweater. I want to tell you, this is where you take your yarning, knitting passion and make it into a fashion piece. You might have a simple, square, boxy, or droopy, cable sweater. Just, simple. Imagine it, okay? Put it. Now, those strings, what you're looking at is actually leather strips. And you see the bag she has it with? You see the cable? See how gorgeous that cable is? I'll insert the picture. I just think this is gorgeous. I would totally do this. I would maybe even have the cable sweater just a little bit shorter, and then the skirt would be above my knee. All made out of leather strips. I mean, you still want to have some lining or maybe some shorts underneath. But that is my fashion tip to you, my artsy fashion tip to you. Take your gorgeous cable sweater that's kind of a boyfriend style size or oversized, and put it with a leather skirt. Leather tights. I have tights that have a leather strip up the front. Rocking it. It turns that old-fashioned kind of sweater into something pow. So, Michael Kors, that image you can find on his Instagram and enjoy more of his pieces. And so every episode or so, I'm going to show you a few things that I like about Fashion Week, and that they are rocking it with knitwear, or designers that I find that I think are really pushing the limits. I want to see more designers out there knitting things that have a little bit of edge to them. I want to see you, even you, Grandma. That's right. Rock it. You don't have to be 25 to rock some leather. Or a biker. Not that bikers are bad. Because let me tell you, I'm loving my biker boots. And the one last thing I wanted to, before I sign off, I love the this is podcast recommendations. Mustache podcast. Not, I love it. I think they're funny. And so Free Flower, which is I think Stacy, and Steph, who's Super Steph, is a podcast that I'm into right now. And Aussie Yarning. I had to do it. My boyfriend's from Australia. She's so sweet. Her name is Joyce, or Zoe Girl Knit on Ravelry. She's retired and she's sweet, and I could just listen to her talk all day long. totally opposite to the fat squirrel, but that's okay. She don't have to be the same. But anyway, yeah. I wanted to recommend those. I mean, you've already heard me talk about Innis Knit, and it's funny because those girls are cracking me up. On the last episode, they're doing, they did like Not Another Pipeline Retreat recap. Funny. My daughter was like, oh my god. Those girls are hilarious. So anyway, yeah, so thanks for joining me, and if you're a returning viewer, thanks. I appreciate you coming back. I promise not to make a fat squirrel analogy in this one, so I'm not going to. I'm just going to say, knit like a rock star, people. Signing out.